Thought about working with a coach before? If you're serious about achieving your business goals and starting this journey as an entrepreneur, you should seriously consider it. Working with a coach is a great way to boost your results, especially as an entrepreneur. If you're wondering if working with a coach could actually benefit you and help you, then pay close attention to episode 69 of the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast, as Yvonne and I provide you 9 benefits for you to consider.
Uncompromised. And I got it. Look, what does it take for you to be great? Keep it 100, bro, you know the answer. Pursuing your purpose, creating profits, building legacy. Anything less, how could you even fathom? Just sit back and imagine all that can truly happen when you pursue your passions. Yeah. So eliminate distractions and get back to the action. That's the law of attraction. You gotta build a team to build a dream. Family, faith, and focus. Counsel can only build a king. Are you prepared to reign? Cause whether you weather the weather won't change. Whether you weather the weather won't change. Stay true to the vision. Stay true to the mission. Gotta get to the finish. Take a moment to listen and come and see it through our eyes. We'll show you what it means to live uncompromised. We're uncompromised. 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 We're uncompromising. Yeah. Uncompromised. We're uncompromised. We're uncompromising. Yeah. Uncompromised. Uncompromised. You're uncompromising.
Welcome to the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast, presented to you by the Uncompromising Coaching Group. Do you have an entrepreneurial spirit? Are you constantly thinking about how to create value and build new businesses? Are you trying to find innovative ways of doing business to replace old, outdated ones? If so, then we are here to talk to you. This is a show where we teach you what it takes to pursue purpose, create profits, and build legacy. I am Jimmy Gonzalez Jr., and I am joined by my co-host, Devon Watts Jr.
Yeah.
If you are one of our loyal listeners or one of our new listeners, again, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for checking us out. Please feel free to rate and review this podcast. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, we'd love for you to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and then share this with another entrepreneur you know will definitely get benefit from all of the content, but specifically this episode, which is episode 69. We're going to get into detail about the episode and really just kind of remind us about this journey and the culmination of all these conversations and tactics and strategies and tips that we've been providing over season 3. But before we do that, we actually have an ask of our uncompromising family out there. Devon and I are very close to finishing out the build out of our subscription-based podcast community for our uncompromising family. We've been working on this for a few months now, but we're really getting ready to wrap everything up and kind of getting to that point. This is something that we've been working on because we love the feedback. We love the comments, whether that is on the podcast itself or within the YouTube channel. But it's time, y'all. It's time to get us all together in a community where we can have a little bit more access, where we can share more information and really start to interact and engage with each other in a different way. We get a little bit of that within social media, on Instagram and on Facebook as well. But this is, again, going to be specifically for our uncompromising family. It's going to be focused on you. It will include 3 different tiers consisting of the video option of our podcast. We're actually going to be removing the full videos off of the YouTube channel, but there'll still be content on there for you. We're going to have exclusive content, a private mini podcast as well, and a whole lot more. But we need your help, Uncompromising fam. Before we finalize everything and actually open up the subscription options, we need to make sure that we really have everything covered and that we're creating a community and providing this opportunity for you to, again, learn a little bit more about pursuing your purpose, creating profits, and building legacy, we need your help. We want to make sure that this is exactly what you want, what you desire, and what's going to be best for you, our uncompromising family. Again, so that's where you come in. We have a quick survey. Please go into the show notes. It is a super short survey, like literally 3 questions or so. It'll take you a couple of minutes to fill out. We would sincerely appreciate your feedback again as we get ready to finalize and wrap everything up before we launch in a couple of weeks. So go to the show notes, click the link, provide us some information, be a part of what we're doing, be a part of the creation of this community. You're already a part of it. We just want you to even have more skin in the game, again, by letting us know what you feel is going to be best for this community. So we're super excited about that, but more to come on that as the next few days and next couple of weeks continue to come about. So a little bit different. We're a little off of our schedule. I am rocking my New York Giants paraphernalia and rocking the colors. It's actually Monday night, and the Giants are about to play the Bucks. By the time this comes out, of course, our episodes always drop on Wednesday. But we're recording here on a Monday night just to kind of give you a little bit of behind-the-scenes action. So I'm excited about the football, but I am more excited about always talking to my homeboy Devon, and again, really being able to break down some tips for you guys as we get into episode 69.
Yeah, man. What has me excited about episode 69 specifically, man, is that this is the culmination of all of the episodes that we've been breaking down over the course of season 3. Like, we've been taking all of our uncompromising entrepreneur listeners on this journey with us as we've shared with you the steps that we've been taking to build out the business, to evolve the podcast into something that's more focused and catered towards helping entrepreneurs reclaim their entrepreneurial birthright. We've been breaking down and giving you tips on how to get started as an entrepreneur. What does it mean to be a solopreneur? How to get started as a solopreneur? How to monetize your skill set? How to make money today so that you can build tomorrow. We've been peppering you with all of these things, talking to some phenomenal guests, and now we are here to put a bow on all of it in the final, breakdown episode of the podcast. And we got one more episode coming for you guys. It's going to be an NBA series that we have for you, the last NBA series of the season. But, if you think about your traditional television series and their arcs, right? They always talk to you about the penultimate episode, that episode right before the last episode where the season climaxes. It has the best plot twists, turns, the excitement, all the storylines that have been building up finally get paid off. You finally see that Arya Stark is the one who's going to kill.
Yes.
Right? You get to see all of that. And this is what we have for you, the penultimate episode of season 3 of the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast. And in this one, we are talking to you about why you need to have a coach. And so we're going to be breaking down the 9 reasons why you need to have a coach. And the cool thing about it is we're going to have the opportunity, coming off the heels of our most recent debrief and celebration session with our alpha test participants for our Purpose of Profits program, coming off the heels of that feedback that we'll be able to incorporate into these tips as we break down why there's value there, with sharing some of their sentiment and some of the things that we learned through that process, and hear directly from these entrepreneurs who have been building their business through our program over these past 90 days or so. So, man, I cannot wait to get to it.
No, I'm excited as well. Again, it's I love the way that you just broke that down, because that's exactly what this feels like. And for those, again, that are new listeners, this might be the first time that you're hearing the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast, or maybe you've just started listening over the last couple of episodes. We do run this podcast in seasons, and this season is season 3, which is called The Rebirth, as we evolve from what was previously the Legacy and Leadership podcast to, again, what is today the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast. And all that had to do with our purpose, our passions, the things that we really want to bring to our community out there. And again, really specifically helping men of color and men of faith to reclaim their entrepreneurial birthright. That is what our coaching program is really all about when we talk about from purpose to profits. But within this conversation and within this podcast, we're just here to serve. We're here to serve and provide you all of the tips, tactics, and mindset reminders and teaching that you will need, again, to really discover your purpose and make sure that you're putting things in place to take those steps, pursue purpose, create profits, and build legacy, whatever that may be for you. So we're glad that you're here. We're going to jump into it so we can go ahead and get started. And again, really break down these 9 tips for you. The first one, and again, this also really touched home for us as we had that last debrief session really last night with the gentlemen which were in our alpha test for our From Purpose to Profits program, and taking them through this, we can refine the program itself, get feedback, continue to tweak things. One of the first tips that we have for you in why it's important to work with a coach is a coach will help you define your goals. A lot of us have goals. Most of the time, though, they're loosely crafted. They're not necessarily well defined. A coach can really help you take these hopes and these dreams that you have out of your head to create a concrete idea. That's one of the first things that we do within our program. But within that idea, then how do I start creating concrete goals and action steps and going through that whole process to reverse engineer? I know where I want to be, how I want to serve, the products I want to be able to offer, what I want that to look like. Then how do I start to put action steps in place and break those down so that day by day, week by week, month by month, I'm taking the steps that I need to achieve those goals. All of us, that's a skill that we had to learn and that we, still at times tweak as dynamics change in our life. But if that is something that you're not necessarily able to do just yet, a coach will certainly be able to help you do that.
Yeah, what comes to mind when I think about this specifically is, we're getting ready to come up here on New Year's, and when New Year's comes around, everybody gets to making the resolutions, and they start thinking about all the different things that they want to focus on in 2022, and that's going to be their year and the whole nine. And we're a big believer and proponent in that. You need to set goals. But what's interesting is obviously the discussion of weight or body image always comes up, and you have folks that want to get in just a better shape. Period. And so I actually have. I have a friend of mine who this year, he was like, bro, I'm getting serious about my weight loss journey. I'm doing it, right? This year, he's getting ready to turn 50, so this is a big milestone for him. He, at the time, was around 270, 280 or something like that. So 5'10", 280, just try to put in perspective those that have maybe lifted or know anything about that. You can really quickly create an image of, kind of his body composition and areas that he would want to improve in. And he said, man, I'm getting serious about it. I said, all right, bro, well, I encourage you, to walk me through some of the steps that you've done. He's like, I've tightened up my eating, I've tightened up on this and stuff like that, but I really think, and he said something to me that I think was so profound, that I think applies to, the value of having a coach and goal setting. He says, all these past couple of years, man, I've relied on the fact that I used to be an athlete in school, that I was in law enforcement. And so I thought that just kind of my sheer knowledge, what I knew would be enough to get me through the circumstances. And what I've started to realize is I've gotten to the point where the circumstances have exceeded my knowledge. So the circumstances have exceeded my knowledge. And if I'm going to get serious about it, I need to bring in somebody else who possesses a different knowledge or different perspective than I do. Because if I could solely rely on my perspective, I would have made different decisions to not be in this situation. But clearly, my perspective is jaded to some extent. And so clearly, the circumstances has superseded my knowledge. So he decided to get with a trainer, a coach. And he said, the real reason I got with this cat is not that there were things specifically that, they were telling me that I didn't 100% know. I knew like 80% of this stuff, right? it was the other 20% that they were able to help me unlock, because obviously things have evolved since I was really heavy into my fitness, but also the accountability, knowing I had to answer to somebody. I had to be accountable. I'm making a commitment, and I have to have those conversations. And I literally just had dinner with him and a couple other folks this last Thursday. And when I saw him, I pulled up on him. I said, "Bro, Jeff, man, you look fantastic." Bro is down to 210.
Wow.
He had lost 70 pounds
Wow.
this year. About to go on 50, 5'10", 210. I said, "Bro, you look like you're ready to start kicking indoors again. Like when you used to chase after criminals back in Cali." He's like, "No, I'm not there yet. I want to get to like 195, 205 or something like that. And then I feel like I'm really there." But he's like, "Man, getting a trainer, getting a coach was the best decision I made, because that was me putting some skin in the game to make a commitment on how serious I am to this." And so when I think about how that applies to why having a coach as an entrepreneur is important, is because sometimes your knowledge may have been sufficient to be able to get you through some of the other circumstances, where even if you lack focus or clarity in goals because you had maybe more talent in certain areas or timing in certain areas, you were able to see some moderate level of success, right? Maybe you were able to get the business off the ground and it was scrapping, you had to take some bumps. Maybe you were able to monetize a bit. Maybe you had a good year. Maybe you had a good 2 years. But now, because your business has grown or the circumstances have evolved in terms of the evolution of technology and the metaverse and more competition, as people have started to migrate away from jobs because of outcome of the pandemic and how that's reoriented people's perspective about what work is and how to make money. Well, maybe you're in a situation now where the circumstances exceeds your knowledge. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to figure it out on your own. You don't have to figure it out on your own. By getting a coach can help you with setting the proper goals, setting the tangible goals, breaking them into goal chunking, micro steps, long-term, short-term goals, having the accountability, and a whole host of other things that we're going to get into. But when you talked about goal setting, Jeff and his experience immediately came to mind, because I know I was, there a couple of years ago when he was telling me last year, "Bro, I'm gonna get serious. I'm starting to hit the gym in the mornings," and he was doing those things, and because the goals weren't aligned, because his, the circumstances exceeded his knowledge, he had a year where he made no progress, and at the end of it, he actually ended up in his weight, even though he was going through the motions of working out and stuff like that. And it took him being serious and making a commitment to get help that helped him accelerate. I mean, again, bro, 70 pounds, the bulk of that 40 pounds in the last 6 months, as he really made a commitment to changing his eating and listening to what his coach was saying. That just shows you the power of having a coach who can help you orient you on the right goals.
100%. And I encourage our Uncompromising family, if you have not done that yet, to start thinking about your goals for 2022. What are your personal goals? What are your business goals? If you wait till January, it might be a little bit too late. So I know we're in the holidays. Obviously, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. By the time this episode drops, Thanksgiving will be the very next day. But definitely start thinking about those things as we get into December. Really start to define those goals. If you need help and you'd like to have a conversation, really put a game plan together, again, you can go to our website, uncompromisingcoaches.com. You can set up a call so we can, again, talk about that game plan. If you're an entrepreneur, even if you're not an entrepreneur, that is one of the services that we provide as well, is our goal setting program. And we'll be able to coach you through that as well, if that is specifically what you need. So a coach definitely helps you define your goals. The other thing that a coach does for you is it adds a different level of accountability to your life, to those goals that you have, and of course the things that you're looking to accomplish in your business. I think that this is so important for a number of reasons, but one of the things that we really stressed to all the folks that we work with, and specifically thinking about, again, the gentleman that we were wrapping up with last night, is there are people out there that have problems, that have a problem that needs to be solved, and you have the solution for that. And there's a certain level of accountability that sometimes we need to be decisive, to take the steps, to put the things in action that need to happen so that we can get to those final outcomes and start the business or scale the business or come out with this new idea or product or service, again, that is going to provide that solution for folks. And to tie back to that last example, even myself, I've had a weight loss goal this year, which I expressed to you I hadn't necessarily hit yet. I've run a gym. I've run, I don't know how many nutrition challenges over the years. But within the gym that I'm going to now, I joined a challenge. Why? Because I understand that with everything else I have going on, I don't have the level of necessarily commitment in this one area. So I need a little bit of accountability. I need accountability from the coach and also from the group and the challengers that we're in, right? Community is so important in that way, in that sense as well. Even just being a part of that community provides a little bit of that accountability. But again, it's just so important to put trust in a coach to hold you accountable to the goals that you set for yourself and the steps that you said that need to happen in order to help you attain those goals.
Yeah, what I love about it too, man, is that like you keep bringing back up this theme of community, and it's part of the reason why we're building out what we're building. It's not just merely a place to go and consume the podcast. It is literally an entrepreneurs club. It's being around like-minded individuals, folks that are going through similar challenges, and not only can you consume the same content and learnings, but you can communicate, you can share best practices, and you can get exposed to other forms of learning, through ebooks, micro learnings, mindset, exclusive podcast content, all of this stuff, as we really focus on building out this uncompromising entrepreneur army of entrepreneurs when we think about the mindset that we ultimately want to instill in our folks. And I think to your point, when it comes to accountability to me is one of the highest levels of love and support, genuine love and support. It's what has allowed us to flourish to the extent that we've been able to flourish in different facets of our life and what we're building as a business, is because we care enough about one another to check in and to hold each other accountable to the things that we've articulated our goals, that we've made commitments to ensure that we see it all the way through. Why? Because if I love you, I want to see you be successful, right? And we shared this with our alpha test participants yesterday, as we were going through the debrief session, and they mentioned the fact that they appreciated how the community, the test, being together, forced accountability in the sense that they knew other folks were going through these same journeys. I got an exposure to not only what you're passionate about from a business perspective, but what you're trying to accomplish, and then also how does that align with who you are as a person? What do you value as a man? What do you value when it comes to your family? What does this legacy mean for your children, for your significant other, for all of those things? And I knew and I felt privileged to be a part of that trust, that circle of trust. And I didn't want to let anyone down by not giving the effort and the respect it was due as we were going on this journey together. Because as we started to debrief and people were sharing what they've experienced, the transitions they've experienced over these past 90 days, there were some huge life transitions that occurred. I mean, people relocating, new jobs, started like officially launching the business, new additions to the family, all of these things. But the one thing that was consistent is that everybody made an effort to do the work.
Yeah.
Because they felt accountable to one another to be able to do the work. Right? Like, I have to make sure that I'm making growth in this area of my business because I know Jimmy knows how important this is to me. And he's not going to let me forget how important it is to me and what I'm trying to build. And so that's where having a coach can be so helpful, is because, accountability, again, is that highest form of care, concern, love, compassion, because I want to see you be successful. It's very easy for folks who are not really vested in the success of your business to hear you set a goal and to let you off the hook when you don't hit it and just keep it moving. Why? Maybe they don't care. Maybe they didn't think you were going to hit it in the first place, right? Maybe they had no incentive or motivation to push you or to expect more of you. But with a coach, that's not going to be the case. And for us specifically, when we're talking to our alpha test participants, one of the things we kept coming back to is that for us, this is not about monetizing a coaching program, taking you through 90 days, and then you're on your way, right? That's not the result that we want. That's not what motivates us to do what we're doing. We are literally about seeing these entrepreneurs grow and manifest and truly create profits, build legacies with the businesses that they're building out, because that's what drives us at the end of the day. If all these program participants would have just went through the material and did not see any growth, we'd be failing. And we wouldn't do this anymore. But that's not how we're wired. Right, we want to make sure that these are turning into tangible results for all of our coaching participants, and that's what accountability really looks like at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. It's funny how it's easier to let yourself down than it is to let somebody else down, right? So having that coach is one more person in your life that you just don't want to let down, which is why, even as a partnership, like, we find value in that because, one, you're my brother, you're one of my best friends, but like, as a business partner, I don't want to let you down. So we coach each other through this process. And we have other coaches that we spoke with, right? And we keep in touch with, because it's, again, you don't want to let these people down that are pouring into you and investing in you, even if you're paying for it, right? You're investing in yourself, but this person has expertise, has experiences that they're sharing with you, and you don't want to let that person down. So again, it's just, it's so important to have that accountability in your life.
Right.
So again,
real quick, I'm sorry, but the last thing I would say too is anytime you make a purchase, what the retailer, what the company is worried about is the quality, right? That's a reflection. The product is a reflection of that company and their standards. They're not about getting a quick sale and keeping it moving. Right, they want to make sure they have a mutually beneficial experience. They want to make sure they have a satisfied customer, and the same is true when it comes to coaching. Yes, you're investing in a coach, but again, you're really investing in yourself. And the only product that we have as coaches to produce that shows the quality of what we bring to the table is you being successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's the quality. That's the product that we have to produce. We have to produce a more successful entrepreneur, a more aware entrepreneur, a more focused entrepreneur, a more successful growing business. That's what we have to produce at the end of the day. So again, to your point, it is an investment. It's an investment in the support, but it's really an investment in you, because all of that is going to get poured back into you 10 plus in terms of how you grow from the experience.
Yeah. So Uncompromising Family, again, we're really dropping some tips, 9 tips on how working with a coach can help you. We also have 3 action items and action steps that we're going to provide you at the end. So stick around. You're not going to want to miss that. I know you're probably saying, man, we just got through 2. These are really, really, these are all great tips, but 2 really important ones when you think about why it's helpful to work with a coach. So we talked about, one, that a coach is going to help you define your goals. It adds more accountability within your life, within your business. A coach will also encourage you to define your values. And Devon had just mentioned that. And that was one of the things that I think really stood out to us when we were talking with Carlo about his experience and what he's been going through, and really taking a step back and digesting the new dynamics in his life, and realizing, man, like, the values that I have now are different, are, so much better in a lot of ways, but also how do I show a little bit of that to my tribe to really build engagement with the people that I'm looking to connect with. But if you don't know what your values are, it's going to be very difficult for you to and we talk about that North Star, right? Have that direction that you're trying to go. If you don't know what you value as a person, number one, but definitely as a business owner, what are the values that you are going to conduct your business by? So it definitely, again, an encouragement to start asking yourself those questions if that's something that you haven't necessarily done yet. And if you struggle with those answers, again, a coach can help you to really figure out, provide some examples, take you through some activities that are going to help you define what those values are.
Yeah, so to your point, we spend so much time on the first two call outs because those are really kind of the foundational outputs of being able to work with a coach, having clarity in terms of your goals and what to get after, and then having accountability towards achieving those goals, executing against those goals so that we can get tangible results. The tips that we're going to get into, like kind of moving forward, especially starting with this one around defining your values, are a part of these thought exercises that we go through in order to have clarity around what my goal should be now. And then now how can I be held accountable against those goals because I understand, in this instance, what my values are. And what I really loved about our conversation with Carlo in the group yesterday around this topic specifically is it's like people had an epiphany. You realize, man, I'm hyper aware of how I've evolved as a person in my personal life, but when it comes to thinking about my business or how that influences my business, I look at my business as if it's static and it's not dynamic. And I think you called this out to him just with asking him, hey, bro, when did you start your business? How long have you been in business? When did you actually start your business and file your LLC? It was like 2013. It's 2021, right? So we're talking about 8 years. Think about what that means in terms of growth personally as a man. Like, how old were you then? Where were you at in your life? Oh man, I was, single. I had no kids. It was college, and I hang around with boys trying to finish my degree. All right, and where are you at now? Right? Oh, I'm married. I got 2 kids. I got a household that I'm building. Got all these certifications. Right? I'm successful in the financial sector, but I also have this passion for this music and things like that I've been building. I've had success in, and like as soon as you asked that question, it was just like a light bulb. It was like, man, like yeah, your business, the way you're treating the business today reflects who you were in 2013 when you started it. How does it reflect who you are today? As a family man, as somebody who's grown, has accomplished these things, and you're running it. Like your business hasn't evolved. And so that was just awesome. And from there, he had to wrestle with that existential question of what do I value? But through that, over these past 90 days, he was able to come out that other end with clarity around what he values. And that clarity allows you to define your purpose, identify your tribe, communicate to that tribe, make sure that you're living in that niche so that you can define your goals, so that you can be held accountable against them. So, man, I think that's one of the more powerful tips and just perspectives that came from our debrief session yesterday.
And just for those that, again, maybe you're a new listener, Carlo is one of our Alpha Test members. He's family. He is a very talented music producer. So a lot of the tracks that you may hear as you're listening to the podcast, as we have breaks within the conversation, are tracks that were produced by Carlo. The intro to our podcast, which was penned by Devon, leadership docent, aka Trey Deuce, that track also was created by Carlo. So again, he is very much a part, very much a part of this podcast as well, in the production and just the vibe that we look to create for you, for our uncompromising family. So hopefully you appreciate that. Again, it's definitely something that we look to do continuously as we move forward in season 4 and continue to enhance the experience for our listeners even more so, and our viewers as well. So we just broke down 3. We're going to jump into number 4, which is working with a coach helps you to see yourself more clearly. We all have blind spots. There are things that, especially if we're so focused and we have our head down because we're trying to get this business started, or we're trying to get our business to that next level, there might be things that are happening around us, things that we can improve upon that we're not necessarily seeing. It could be things, again, within our mindset that is holding us back from taking the proper steps and really getting that business to the next level. A coach will help to, again, help you see yourself more clearly. Self-awareness is so important. So that self-awareness will allow you to be more honest with yourself. You'll know what you're good at, maybe some things that you're not so good at. And again, that self-awareness also allows you to double down on your strengths. Like, what are the things that you are really, really good at, that you're outstanding at? And how do we build off of those things instead of always focusing on the things that are areas of opportunity, And maybe that's just kind of part of your personality. So we want to build upon the strengths. So hopefully they will outshine those areas of opportunity that you have, right? It doesn't mean that we completely forget about them, but a coach will help you to really determine what those strengths are and help you build those out in your business.
What I appreciate about this specifically, man, going back to how it invokes the thought of personal training. I always find that when we're responsible for developing our own workout plan, we have a tendency to gravitate towards exercises that will not expose our deficiencies, right? So like, oh man, if my biceps look good, curls get the girls, man. I'm gonna spend a lot of time building programs that accentuate my arms, and I know I'm going to be able to throw around some big boy weight, but I ain't really trying to get underneath that squat rack though, right? And what I appreciate about the benefit of having a structured program, right? Like Purpose and Profits this is going to be a full body test, a full body assessment of where you stand, which means you can't hide behind the workout and the exercises anymore, right? And not be exposed or confront the fact that, hey, my core is weak. Hey, my lower body's not where it needs to be, right? Maybe my cardio's not where it needs to be. Now, I think to your point, the beautiful thing in that process is that once you have clarity around your strengths and your opportunities as it pertains to being an entrepreneur and running your business, well, then from there we can start to focus on, well, how do we play towards your strengths, create meaningful partnerships or systems, or be able to delegate effectively for areas that are opportunities for you, and still make sure that we're helping you strengthen those areas of opportunity so that you have confidence in what you communicate and what you're outsourcing, so that you still feel like you have an understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, and you can communicate it effectively, even if you may not necessarily have the inherent skill set to be able to execute on it. Right. I think about, again, what makes our partnership work so effectively is, from an audio perspective, when it comes to creativity, like I have a lot of things going well for me, some sliders that are up because of my experiences. The video space, that is something that you have mastered, perfected, honed, and you do exceptionally well. I know that my slider, when it comes to videography, is not higher than Jimmy's slider when it comes to videography. What I do know is that I know enough about it to be able to articulate kind of what I'm envisioning, or how to execute on it. But at the end of the day, Jimmy's the one that's actually going to do the work and execute on it, because he has a skill set that's in his wheelhouse. And so that's what we focus on with these entrepreneurs is, you may not know certain aspects. You may not know marketing and SEO or short form content creation, but we are going to, one, identify that, two, identify viable partners or how to establish partnerships or delegate, and then three, get you well versed enough so that you can communicate what your vision is in that space, so that somebody can go out and execute for you. So I really appreciate the tip around being able to know yourself better, because once you have certainty in self, clarity in self, ain't nothing more dangerous than a self-assured entrepreneur.
Yes, sir. Which is a good segue into our number 5 tip, right? Because you even mentioned like delegation. Well, delegation and delegating to others is a skill. Sometimes you just got to get all, it's a mindset piece, because you may not trust other folks. This is your business. You started, it's your baby. But once you get past the mindset component, it is actually a skill. So a coach will assist in skill building and development, whether that, again, is delegating to others as you start to really take this from a solopreneurship to an entrepreneur endeavor, a small business, and now you have employees or teams or a team of individuals that are helping you in some shape, some form, or capacity, right? I think about not just, delegation, but we've talked about, that 30-second elevator pitch, and being able to figure out who your tribe is, how do you really craft that message, and then how do you go about communicating that message. Not every entrepreneur, has necessarily that gift of gab, or has, spoken publicly in ways that allows them to have that confidence. Well, we weren't always like that, right? These are things that we've worked on and skills that we've developed. A coach, again, will assist your current skill level and help you build and develop those skills so that you can start taking those things to the next level. And all of that obviously is going to help you as an entrepreneur, but the benefactors of that are going to be the people that you're working with, right? Again, your tribe, your community that you're building, that you're working with, that you're serving, they're going to be able to benefit from that. And don't get it twisted, you will as well. As you start to skill up, to learn more, you become more of a practitioner in these different things. Yesterday's prices were not today's prices. I know a little bit more. My skill has gotten to another level, and that is also how you continue to scale your business, by scaling your ability to be able to generate more revenue as you're providing a different level of value.
And what I appreciate too around the assisting in skill building and skill development is that takes a certain level of vulnerability to go through, especially with a coach, right? You have
Hmm.
to be trusting. You have to be willing to say, hey, this is not only an area that I acknowledge I'm deficient in, but I need to be open to your perspective, your guidance, your teachings, your encouragement in order to help me shore up this area and turn it into potentially an area of strength. Definitely, if nothing else, an area that is neutralized in terms of exposure, opportunity for me, but potentially an area of strength at the end of the day. And just that process of going through skill building actually is a nice little segue into the next tip on why it makes sense to get a coach, right? Is because at the end of the day, we talked about vulnerability. Having a coach allows you a safe space to have sensitive conversations. And that was one of the things I was the most impressed about or floored by and just touched by as we've gone through this process. And we shared with our alpha test participants how rewarding and fulfilling this experience was for us as coaches as we grew through the process.
Hmm.
As we were helping them grow and cultivate their business, we were growing in terms of our approach, our techniques, how we connect, how we communicate, how do we motivate, how do we break down skills and then help build up skills in those things. And the overwhelming sentiment from every single one of those gentlemen was the fact that this relationship allowed them a safe space to be able to have transparent conversations around things that they were struggling with as an entrepreneur. And maybe some of those things weren't directly tied to the business because we
Hmm.
know as entrepreneurs, we carry the responsibility of balancing everything else that comes with life, right? Being fathers, being husbands or significant others, building out your household, being a provider, being responsible for spiritually leading your household, being responsible for navigating the challenges that exist in the world, and how do you know when the timing is right, and just kind of some of that negative self-talk that for some of us, we may feel we don't have a safe space to articulate those things or express those things and be heard and be handled with the care necessary to be able to work through that. And having a coach allows a space to be able to do exactly that and to work through some of those things. Some of those things that may have been festering for a long time and unbeknownst to us may have been the reason why we haven't unlocked that next level of success is because we still haven't done this work yet. And we
Hmm.
haven't found the space to be able to do that work where we can be vulnerable but also feel safe in doing so. And so that was another tip, another benefit of securing a coach is not only do you get to build those skill sets, but you're able to do so by having vulnerable conversations because the coach is creating that safe space for vulnerability and to have those sensitive conversations that you need to have in order to unlock that next level of your capabilities.
Yeah, it's just so important, especially for men. Again, having that space to be able to have those type of conversations, not necessarily something that comes easy for us, and is necessarily typical. So being able to have that space, and again, like you said, just knowing that there's going to be sometimes situations that are not about the business, but if those things are not handled, and Alan pointed that out to us so well, right, in the NBA series that we had with Alan Paul. If things in your home or just in your life are not in order, you may find some success, but you're not going to find the ultimate level of success possible with your business if there's things within your life that also needs to be taken care of. So while that's why we call it entrepreneur life coaches, right? It's because we're here to help you with your business first and foremost, but also helping you to see some of those other areas that you may need assistance with, whether that's through us or being able to provide you to the right resources to be able to get you the assistance and help that you need to work through those things so that you can be all that you possibly can mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, so that you can pour into others, you can serve others with the best of everything that you have. So again, so important to offer that space to be able to have those type of conversations. The other tip that we have for you and why it's so beneficial to work with a coach is that your coach is going to encourage you to step out of your comfort zone. A lot of times, and this kind of gets back to what you were saying about I'm going to do curls. Like, it's very comfortable for me to do curls. That's a movement that I'm very comfortable with or that I know. But there's going to be things, especially when you're talking about strengths and areas of opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, we don't forget about those things. And sometimes it's going to be, okay, we need to stretch ourselves. We need to get out of this comfort zone and get into this stretch zone where we're learning some things. We're learning how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and putting ourselves in situations that are going to allow us to grow. Now, we don't stay there for an extended amount of time, because as you're stretching, right, I use the example of a rubber band or a muscle. If you stretch it too much, eventually it's going to pop. So the coach actually helps you as well to stretch yourself enough, but also knows when, all right, now it's time for you to pull back. Let's master what you've learned before we put you into another space, another activity that's going to stretch you even more.
Yep, absolutely. I think you summed it up perfectly in terms of what that relationship looks like and what the benefit is at the end of the day of really helping you stretch outside of your comfort zone. I know I may have shared this with our Uncompromising Entrepreneur community before, and if not, then I'm going to share it now. But one of the most profound statements I ever heard was from, believe it or not, Trent Dilfer. He was doing a quarterback coaching camp for a while on ESPN. He was working with kids that are in the high school, like the Elite 11 or whatever the case may be. And I love to see just kind of that, because you can see the potential for talent and how coaching plays such a pivotal role in those moments as they transition to bigger stages. And you see folks that take well to coaching and how that manifests itself with in terms of success in careers, and then you see other folks who may have had all the tools and talent in the world, but because they didn't take to the coaching, ultimately it never translated into tangible results. But one of the things he was talking about, he was working with a quarterback specifically who was known for dual threat, liked to work out of the shotgun. I'm not trying to geek you guys out with sports and stuff like that. I'm just sharing with my co-host because I know he's picking up exactly what I'm talking about. But he was taking them through this drill where he was forcing them to do under center dropbacks. And the kid was like, you can tell he was getting frustrated because he's not used to the footwork. He's not used to the mechanics. He's used to being able to survey the field a little bit differently from the, kind of from the shotgun. And he knew the school I'm going to go to runs a type of offense that fits my skill set. So why the hell am I sitting here doing all this, right? And you can just tell he was getting visibly frustrated. They got into the video session and stuff like that, and Trent Dilfer is just giving him feedback. You can tell the kid is kind of closed off to it, and Trent just stopped the tape and he said, look, I understand that you're frustrated. I understand that you're uncomfortable, right? What I'm asking you to do is uncomfortable for you. I can tell it. I can tell it because it doesn't look natural. I can tell that you're annoyed at the fact right now that you, who's considered one of the top athletes in the entire country, is struggling with this concept. So I know it's uncomfortable, but I'm doing it for a reason, because at the edge of discomfort is where the growth begins. And he said that, and I was like, oh. And I held on to that for many, many years, even till now. At the edge of uncomfortable discomfort is where the growth begins. And that's exactly what you're talking about with the benefits of getting with a coach. Look, I get it. Maybe you've been shying away from understanding the financial fundamentals of your business because it's uncomfortable to crunch the numbers. It's uncomfortable to have to balance your budget. It's uncomfortable to think about securing additional financing. It's uncomfortable to think about, the steps you need to take in order to file your LLC, or what type of business entity should I file, or where do I need to register at, and can I get by with doing a DBA, and what do I need to do when it comes to my website, and what steps do I need to take from an SEO perspective. Like, having to learn and figure out all of those things can be uncomfortable. But with the coach, we're going to push you to that level of discomfort, because we know at the edge of that is where the growth begins. And the beauty is you can do it in a safe space, right, with the right support around you. It's not like going into the gym and you saying, all right, I know I normally can put up 215, but I'm going to put 235 on the bar today with no spotter. You're going to be uncomfortable, but that's also dangerous, right? So here, by working with a coach, you can at least have somebody who's going to be able to spot you, and they're going to be able to slowly push you to start hitting new benchmarks, to start stretching yourself, to start growing yourself, because they know that your goal calls for that, right? Your goal calls for that. If you want to achieve something audacious, you have to do something that's ambitious. If you want to achieve something that's audacious, you have to do something that's ambitious. And ambition comes down to acting in the face of fear, embracing that discomfort. That's the only way that you're going to be able to do it.
Love it. My man's dropping nuggets. They're falling from the sky. So our goal for our uncompromising entrepreneurs out there, again, is to give you 9 tips. And we got some action steps, so stick with us. We're landing this plane and we're getting towards the end. 9 tips why you should really consider working with a coach. The 8th tip is that the coach is going to offer you a different viewpoint. When you have a coach, you have someone to bounce ideas off of. One of the best activities and that we had some of the most fun with was the brainstorming session, right? So while we were having sessions one-on-one with the gentleman in the alpha test, we also had that activity where we were all brainstorming together, and again, bouncing different ideas off of each other for how they can start to craft their business, think about different ideas and different opportunities to scale the business and grow the business, right? So it is so easy to get caught up in tunnel vision, and I'm so locked in, I'm so focused that I might not even consider opinions of other people. And sometimes that ego comes into play, and we think that we know better when we know some things, yes, but it's so valuable to have, again, that different viewpoint to challenge us. We talked about this, if you didn't listen to the last 2 episodes, about winning ideas and then how do you know that your idea is a good one. So go back to episode 68 and 67. We go into that in detail. Again, the importance and the benefit of having a different viewpoint. That coach forces you to consider different viewpoints and other people's opinions. This is going to help you truly become a more well-rounded individual and business owner in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think where I find that having that different viewpoint is so beneficial is not only are they able to, as a coach, position themselves as it's you and them versus the problem, and they can see it from a different vantage point because, they're not in the fight. Or they're not in the fight to the extent that you are. That's why every world-renowned, famous boxer, you also know who their cut man was, right? You know about a Gus Kamado, or you know about Pacquiao, Freddie Roach, Freddie Roach, or Floyd Mayweather, his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr., right? Because those folks were pivotal in the success of that fighter because they were able to see different things, different perspective. And when they got back to that corner and they said on that stool, hey, you're not seeing this. Hey, keep your arm up. Hey, work the jab. Hey, he's favoring this. And they're able to help you with strategy and approach. And that's where really that last real tip or benefit to working with the coach comes into play, is because now that coach has a different viewpoint, they're also there with you to help you make tough decisions. I know sometimes as an entrepreneur, where we feel like we are the loneliest is when it comes time to make monumental decisions. As an entrepreneur. Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I pivot? Do I not? Do I scale? Do I not? E-commerce, brick and mortar, right? Do I take on a partner? Do I not? Do I take out Do I bet on myself? Do I not? Do I try to scale it slowly? Do I focus on a specific area? Like all of these decisions that we have to make as entrepreneurs, as business runners, as business owners. If you feel like you're doing it alone, again, it can be daunting. It could be intimidating, for lack of a better word. Well, with working with a coach, you have a sounding board, somebody who not only has the experience, but also has a different perspective, who understands your strengths and your opportunities from a sober perspective, a sober view. They're not jaded by a lack of self-awareness or ego, which sometimes can be our shortcomings as entrepreneurs, and they're able to tell you the full lay of the land, what you do well, what you don't, and what decisions you need to make. Actually, it's funny in terms of timing, and I talked a little bit about boxing as some examples because I think it was just appropriate, and it wasn't intentional, but it's just kind of the way potting happens. Sometimes these things evolve. But I was recently watching the Terrence Crawford Sean Porter fight. Right, Terrence Crawford.
I was already gonna start talking about that. I was actually waiting for you to stop.
Look, guys, you see the magic in real time. This is how potting happens. It's organic, man. We got the chemistry. It goes. So I would defer to you then. Tell me what you took away from that experience, watching that fight, and I'm assuming you're going to get into the end and Sean Porter and his pops.
Not exactly the same, right? But a coach will help you to make tough decisions, and maybe ultimately as a business owner, you're going to be the one to make that final decision. But maybe you have to realize that, okay, this path that we're going down, you mentioned pivot, like it's not bearing fruit for what I'm trying to do. So we have to make some serious adjustments. We may have to quit, not the business, but quit this path. So as you were talking, that's exactly what I was thinking about, was a Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter fight, where at the end, in the 10th round, it was a great fight. It was going back and forth for about the first 4 rounds. And then Terrence Crawford really started to dominate the fight, started to pick his opponent apart. Again, this is Sean Porter. And it gets to the point where in the 10th round, he knocks him down once, knocks him down twice. And you can tell that it was not going to get any better for Sean, right? So his coach, which in this case also happens to be his father, decided after that second knockdown, we're stopping the fight. So a coach would be beneficial. Again, in business sense, you're going to ultimately be making that final decision. But sometimes you need that coach to say, you know what? No, we actually need to stop. We need to quit this portion of what we're doing because there's a different direction. If we continue to go down that path, you're already hurting. You're already losing money. The business is already bleeding. If we continue down this path, it is going to be monumental in the amount of hurt that you're going to feel. And especially when we talk about something like boxing, right? It's sometimes the type of damage that people don't necessarily always come back from. And when you think about your finances, your family, and the people that look to you, whatever that may be for you, or just yourself and your ability to continue to move forward in a very healthy way and in a very healthy space, a coach can help you to make those decisions.
Absolutely. I think you unpacked it perfectly in terms of the comparison. The only other thing I would add to that I was going to highlight is the fact that as his coach, his father had that unique perspective that was not rooted in ego, that was not rooted in anything other than taking a fair assessment of his fighter's preparation for the task at hand. And when they asked him, hey, what led you to stop the fight in the 10th? After it had been going back and forth, it seemed like it was competitive, and then he was running up against something, right? And he got knocked down twice, and then you just called it quits. Why? And his dad, without missing a beat, his trainer said, because of the lack of preparation for this fight, he wasn't prepared the way that I needed him to be prepared. And when I saw the lack of preparation manifest itself in the lack of results that we wanted, and to your point, the level of hurt, now we got to pivot. We got to pivot. And in this instance, pivot is let's live to fight another day, right? We have an opportunity if you want to continue to go down this path, right? We can book other fights, right? We can go back to the drawing board in terms of how we train, but you're going to walk away from this healthy enough to be able to regroup and then go back and fight, as opposed to being blinded by ego and staying the course knowing that this is only going to get worse. Because he's made the adjustments, he was prepared, and you weren't. and you're not ready to live up to this moment, right? And so that was the only other thing that I would highlight, and that's where again the benefit of a coach can come into play is the only thing we're committed to is as coaches is not saving your ego, right? It's helping you manifest success, whatever that result is at the end of the day. And if we're not on the path to do that, we're going to be able to have a honest, safe, transparent conversation with you about, hey, we got to pivot to something else because you're not going to get the results you want at the end of the day. And the only thing I'm committed to is ensuring that you get that result.
There it is. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We still have 3 action steps we're going to break down for you very, very quickly. But our promise to you is, again, to ensure that we provided you 9 tips on why working with a coach is super beneficial for you. A coach will help you define your goals. They will add more accountability to your life. They will encourage you to define your values if you have not done that yet. They'll help you to see yourself more clearly and help you to see some of those blind spots that you may have. They will assist you in building more skills and developing those skills. Offer a safe space to talk about possible sensitive issues that need to be discussed so that you can take that next step and move forward with your business. They also encourage you to get out of your comfort zone, offer a different point of view, and like we just broke down, they help you to make those tough decisions. We're asking you to make a decision. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit pause. We're okay with that. Hit pause right now. Go into the show notes. Click that link that we talked about at the very beginning of the podcast. Again, help us out. This is your opportunity to be involved in what we're building and provide us some feedback. It's a very super short survey, 3 questions for you to answer. It'll take you way less than 5 minutes to get that accomplished, and let us know what you think about what you would like to see in this uncompromising entrepreneur community that we are building. So 3 action steps for you. So we gave you 9 tips. Here are 3 quick action steps. Take some time to think about the different areas of your life that you could use a boost in. Write that down on a list. Okay, get out a piece of paper, or if you want to do it on your phone because you like using technology, or on your computer, whatever that form is going to be for you, make a list of the areas in your life that you can use a boost. Number 1. Number 2, carefully consider the list from the last step to figure out if a coach or a mentor or a teacher could actually help you out in any one of those areas. If that is the case, and you say, you know what, yes, I could definitely use help here, here, and here, choose that area of your life that could most use a coach. So this is the 3rd action step. Choose the area within your life that can most use a coach and start researching those coaching options. If you find the right fit, take that chance. Reach out. We've already told you, you can go to uncompromisingcoaches.com. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, if it's goal setting that you're looking help with and you want to have a conversation about what that game plan can look like, again, you can do that. If you are looking at starting your business, or if you started but you need help with some of the things that we've just discussed, again, let's go ahead up and set up that call. Let's talk about some action steps that you can take to start to really get yourself more confident, more comfortable in what you're doing to, again, serve other people and really make money for yourself, right? You're pursuing your purpose, but man, I'm trying to really create profits or create more profit so I can leave that 9 to 5 and do this on a consistent basis. And this is the life that I live, that entrepreneurial life. Again, we would be able to assist you and start talking about some of those things. So those are 3 quick action items for you. Put in the work. Get out whatever form you need to do to make that list, make those choices, and then start reaching out, whether that's us or whether that's somebody else. We just encourage you to find somebody that's going to be a right fit for you, and that's going to provide you what you need, again, to level. But if you are looking to reclaim your entrepreneurial birthright, pursue purpose, create profits, and build a legacy, Devon and I are here for you for sure, for sure. All right. So Uncompromising family, again, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, for watching the vidcast as well. Again, go ahead and like this episode, leave us a comment. If you haven't left a review for the podcast itself, we would definitely love for you to do that, to leave a review for the podcast. If you'd like to reach out to us, we've already mentioned different ways to do that. You can go to the website, uncompromisingcoaches.com. If you'd like to email us, info@uncompromisingcoaches.com. So again, Uncompromising family, go ahead and leave some comments for us. Again, reach out to us. We definitely would appreciate you doing that. We are getting ready to end season 3. But don't fret. We still have some things on the way. So pay attention to the feeds. You'll see some other things coming out. The very last episode is going to be the last installment of our MBA series. So you're not going to want to miss that. Again, I think that's going to be another very powerful conversation that you're going to be able to learn a lot from as you hear from another entrepreneur that is going through these initial steps and talking about how they have been mentored by adversity as they start their entrepreneur journey. So you're not going to want to miss that. And again, please pay attention and be aware of other bonuses that we'll be coming out with that are going to help you to I'm not going to give all the details right now, but again, you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very informative and provide you with some tips and things that you need to help you along the way, specifically about diligence. I think that's what we're going to really be focusing on. Diligence is so important in life, but definitely as an entrepreneur to truly be uncompromising, right? You need to have a very high level of diligence in your life to accomplish the things that are there in front of you and that you're looking to achieve. So that's what we have for you. Again, be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for episode 70, the last one of the season 3, The Rebirth. Thank you for rocking with us, for being a part of this journey. It means so much to us. And on that note, y'all, God bless.
Stay
encouraged. You have just listened to the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast, hosted by Jimmy Gonzalez and Devon Watts. Thank you, and we hope that you pursue your passion, create profits, and build a legacy. Until next time, y'all.